Hello, Physio practice owners. If you want to know how to double, triple, quadruple, or even 5x your money using Facebook and Instagram, this is the episode for you. Hello, and welcome to today's episode. It is called How to Create Facebook and Instagram Retargeting Ads for Growing Your Practice. All right. Now, what we're going to be covering today is all the way from the start to finish of what you can do, right, in your practice to have remarkable results when it comes to Facebook ads, right? Done correctly, this is one of those marketing channels that I really believe if you want to take your practice to that next level and get a lot of new patients pretty fast and grow your practice at a pretty crazy rate, right? This is a channel that you absolutely must have, right? So we're going to be breaking everything down. But before I go ahead and do that, I want to share what is possible if you do this correctly, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some results that, some of our clients are getting when it comes to Facebook ads, all right? So here it is. The first one, if you're watching on some video, you can see this, right? So one of my clients spent, $2,903 on Facebook ads, and they got back $25,900 back in terms of revenue, all right? This is new patients, all right, and the actual revenue they created from them. So if you have a look at that, that's a return of 892%, meaning every dollar that you put in, it turns into $8.92. Here's another one. This client of this practice spent $1,216, and they got back $8,050 back. That's at a rate of 661%, or you put $1 in and $6.62 is generated from that. So you're 6xing your money. This one's nearly 9xing your money. This one's nearly, 6.5xing your money. There's another example here. So $3,318 spent, and they got back $19,600. Right? So that's at a rate of 590%, or nearly 6xing. So every dollar you put in, you get $6 back. Right? So this is what's really, really possible when you do Facebook and Instagram ads with retargeting. This is what's really, really possible. And really, these figures aren't that difficult to achieve, but you've got to do the right things to get there. So today we're going to be covering from A to Z when it comes to creating them and actually running them and testing them. But before I go on, what is the power of retargeting? Why would you do retargeting? All right. Well, firstly, the reason being, if you have a look at our total patient matrix, all right, the total patient matrix is a breakdown of where the patients are in the, buying cycle or becoming a new patient cycle, all right, where they are in the community that you serve, right? And the reason why retargeting works is of all the people in your community, all right, about 97 to 98% of people don't book on their first visit to your website or whatever asset you have, right? Facebook, Instagram, website. They don't book on the first attempt or first visit. 97 to 98%. All right. So what retargeting does is it keeps your message, you keep advertising to those 97% of people who don't book on the first visit. You keep the ads in front of them. So reminding them to book when they are ready. What that does, it keeps your practice on top of mind. The concept of retargeting, the biggest advantage is if someone's interacted with any of your assets, be it that they've been to your website, they've interacted with something on your Facebook page or your Instagram page, they've given you a like, they've commented, they've looked at it, they've watched the video, whatever that is, right? They've shown some sort of interest. Those people are no longer what we call a cold audience. Cold is somebody who has no idea, never heard of you before. Anyone who's taken some interaction is no longer a cold audience. They become a slightly warm audience, all right? Or at least a not cold audience, right? So what you want to do, remember, these guys don't book 97% of the time. If you have retargeting ads, these ads keep you and your message on the top of mind of those 97% of people in the entire community until they're ready to book. Okay. So the biggest problem that I hear from practice owners and what they typically do, they focus only on the new traffic, meaning the brand new people that are coming in, right? That's what they focus on. And what they forget is what I mentioned before, that 97% of people don't book on their first visit. So when you focus on the new traffic, you're literally focusing on the 3% that works. Now, you do need to focus on that, but if you don't do anything else, you're literally ignoring 97% of traffic. And what happens if you don't, follow up and keep retargeting them is that they basically disappear into the ether and you'll never hear back from them until they're ready again. All right. This is one of the biggest reasons that physio practices find and it feels that marketing is expensive for them. All right. Only targeting on that 3%, it makes it feel and actually makes it more expensive and very unpredictable. All right. Because you're literally focusing on 3% of the entire market. Right. And it can be volatile because of that. So if you don't retarget, it'll feel really expensive and it'll be more unpredictable. All right. So you need to get retargeting back in there. All right. So obviously the simple fix behind this is, stay on top of mind of the 97% of people, because if you do that, you spend much, much less and you get better results. Because remember, I said they are no longer a cold audience. They are now a warmer. They at least know a little bit about you. And people typically require, up to 12 touch points before they are ready to make the next step, before they are ready to become a patient of yours. A touch point is every time you are in front of them, all right? Your marketing message appears. You need to have around 12 times. And this number, by the way, because of the noise in the world in terms of marketing, this number is always going up because of the noise in the world. So this 12 touch points is going to keep going up and up. But doing this, make sure that you are, firstly, you're spending less and you get better results. It really is the secret to getting high ROI on your marketing spend. All right. So how does retargeting work? Well, like I mentioned, somebody comes into your website, somebody interacts with any of your Facebook pages or Instagram pages, and you need to keep on top of them until they are ready to make that appointment. So you've got website visitors who didn't book, people who clicked on your ads, even on Google, right? Google ads, anyone who clicked on them. All right. So generally they'll go to your website. Right? And Facebook and Instagram is a great way to even retarget the people that have come through your Google ads, because they may click on a Google ad, they go to the website, and you can retarget those people. So the secret of having something like Facebook and Instagram retargeting is that you can capture traffic from any source, right, and get them onto your website. And then people who land on your website, you can retarget them on Facebook and Instagram. It doesn't matter where that traffic to your website initially came from. You could have come from, somebody might have heard about you from a football club and they came to your practice, right? They visited your website, and those people you can retarget on Facebook and Instagram. So it doesn't matter where the original source of that traffic is, you can still retarget. You can also retarget your existing patient lists for rebookings, for reactivations, all right? And just remember, we talked about retargeting is all about getting your marketing message in front of not cold people. Your existing patient base is the warmest audience you can get because they've bought from you, right? And they've been with your service, so they know a bit more about you. And social media followers who've engaged with you but never booked, right? Like I mentioned, anyone who's liked it, anyone who's liked the posts, anyone who's a follower of yours, anyone who's watched the video, anyone who's gone to your website from that. So any media followers and anyone who's done some sort of interaction on your social media accounts, you can retarget. So where do these ads show up? Now, you are probably a Facebook user, right? Think about where they show up. It shows up on the news feed, all right, especially on mobile. Facebook and Instagram news feed will show up. It'll show up on the stories. It'll show up on Reels. It'll show up on Facebook and Instagram Messenger, all right, and Facebook Marketplace and the audience network, meaning that there are certain affiliated websites and a network that Facebook has that users tend to hang around as well, and your ads will appear in them as well. Okay, so the most accurate thing you can have a look at this audience network is those sort of banner ads that can appear all across the web. All right, just if you, for example, if you go to Nike to buy a pair of shoes, all right, and all of a sudden these ads show up on the internet, all right, something like that, that's the audience network. Okay, so how do you set up Facebook and Instagram ads for retargeting? Let's go through it. Firstly, the big thing is you actually install the Meta Pixel, the Facebook Meta Pixel on your website. Now you can get this from your Facebook Ads Center. Type into your Ads Manager, log into your Ads Manager, and there should be a way to get your Pixel code, right? An actual script, right, that you can install on your website. The Facebook and the Meta Pixel tracks the behavior of all the visitors that come to your website, all right? Then you can retarget these people on Facebook. Right? If you don't set this up, if you don't have this set up, you are really flying blind. Right? You're not maximizing the number of patients and exposure you can have to your practice because you just haven't got, certain things in place. Especially when it comes to advertising, you just don't have the eyes to see what people are doing. All right, that's a very big thing. Step 2 is create a custom audience. Now, in Facebook ads, you can actually create a custom audience, and you can create several custom audiences. All right. What we recommend is you can literally create a custom audience for website visitors in the last 30 to 90 days. So the last month to 3 months, 1 to 3 months, right? The reason why it's 1 to 3 months is anything probably longer than that, they may have already forgotten about you. All right. Unless, they keep coming back to your website, in which case they'll fit into the last month to 3 months. All right. So you can create a custom audience around that. Second one is people who've engaged with your social media content. So anyone who's interacted with it, anyone who's commented, anyone who's liked it, anyone who's shared it, anyone who is viewed your videos and, looked at your images, anyone who's engaged with them, you can create a custom audience for that as well. All right. The third one is your patient list, the existing patient list. You can actually get in front of them. It's like a receptionist being in front of your existing patient list to reactivate, get them come back to the clinic, right? But here's one of the most powerful things you can do after you've created these custom audiences. You can create what we call a lookalike audience. Once again, you can do this in Facebook. You can create a lookalike audience. And what a lookalike audience is let's just say, right, you have a patient list. Let's go with the patient list. You have let's say 1,000 patients to start off with, right? You have 1,000 patients and you can create a lookalike audience from your existing 1,000 patient list. To create, let's just say, and this depends on, I guess a lot of factors, but what a lookalike audience does is it has a look at the audience you put into it, right? In this case, 1,000 patients, and it creates other people in your area that are very similar to the list you've uploaded, all right? So this list that you upload onto your Facebook, they have certain characteristics about them, certain demographical characteristics about them, which Facebook will know about, all right? And based on that, they will find other people in your area which are very similar, that look alike the original audience you put in. This one's a very, very powerful way to expand and create a bigger list on what you already have. Okay, so this is, when it comes to retargeting ad, this is the gold. All right, creating custom audiences. This is the big one. So step 3 then, after you've done that, is create retargeting ad campaign. And it's very, very important that you target those ads only to your custom audience. Absolutely. That's a must, right? And what you can do and what you should do at this point is show specific offers based on what they viewed. What I mean by this is, for example, let's just say somebody has gone and visited your low back pain page. They've gone to that page, but they haven't taken an action, right? Either call your practice or book a call online. If they haven't taken an action, but they've been looking at a low back pain page, what you want to be doing is create an ad specifically for lower back pain for those people, because you know from them going to that lower back pain page, they probably either have lower back pain or they're interested in it. So you need to show an ad on that related to what they were interacting with. When you do this, you become extremely relevant, highly relevant to the person that you are showing the ads to. All right. If they have a lower back pain, you just don't show a physio ad, you make it a lower back pain ad. It is exactly the right message. And you can do this all automatically. If you really think about the power of this, you can create very specific ads, which is something probably a receptionist can't do at this scale or anyone else. This is the power of it. You can really segment them and create the ads around them. Step 4, you've got to have the right offers, creating some retargeting offers. Now, we're not going to cover in this podcast, right? But having a very strong, unique offer for your avatar in your practice is going to be key, right? Especially if you're trying to attract new patients, right? So coming up with this and showing the offer, for example, let's just say 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you're not happy with our treatment for whatever reason, we'll give you your money back, no questions asked. So that's an example, but you need to go through the process of creating the right offer for the type of patient you're trying to attract. That's another podcast episode. I really encourage you to go and watch that. And once you do this, once you create the offer, this then becomes the front and center of your marketing. All right? This is what you show out in all of these ads, along with those specific ads that I mentioned. Okay, so that's step 4. Those are the basic steps, right? And then what do we do to optimize the ads, optimize retargeting ads for absolute maximum effect, to get the most bookings out of it? Okay, and it all starts with the ad creatives. All right, on Facebook, the main ones are, you have the image or the visual asset, right? You have your headline, which is what appears underneath the visual asset. Then you have the subheadline, which is underneath the headline, right? Then you have the primary text, which is the description that comes up, all right? So these are the ad creatives that you need to have. Now, when it comes to visual, what you can obviously have is you can have an image, you can have a video, or you can have what we call a carousel, lots of images together, all right? So you need to have some sort of visual ad. But when it comes to creating the actual creatives, the headline should really call out to the type of patient you are looking for, right? For example, if you're going back to the lower back pain example, it should be very obvious that the headline of it has to do something with lower back pain. Okay, and so does the subheadline. But the most important part of an ad is actually the image or the visual asset. So stopping the scroll is a big, big thing. It is the number one thing when it comes to Facebook and Instagram ads. If you can't get somebody to stop the scroll, you've lost the ad. You've lost the attention, right? You need to find a way to get attention. So that's the most important part. All right. So you need to create ads that are a little bit unusual, sort of play on things. But really, if you have assets, images and video from your own practice, that you can shoot with your own phone, that's a good enough start to get things going. All right, that's a good enough start to get things going. But the biggest thing is, when it comes to the creatives, is you must A/B test the ads regularly. All right, we recommend at least once a month. All right, so A/B test the ads once a month, changing one part of the ad. So either the headline, either the subheadline, the visual asset, or the primary text. But in terms of ranking of what you should focus on, if you had an order of what you needed to A/B test, number one would be the visual asset, because that's a stop in the scroll. That gets people to stop and pay attention to whatever you're trying to say. So I would, ranking wise, try and create. The first thing is the visual assets. All right. The second thing people look at is the headline. All right. After that, they look at the primary text. After that, they look at the call to action. Call to action is the button. So whether it's learn more, book now, call now, that kind of thing. So I would do it in that particular order. So the order is, once again, the visual asset, the headline, the description, call to action. All right. And you must A/B test at least one of these components at least once a month. Otherwise, what will happen is you can put up an ad and it'll go through what we call market fatigue, and you'll never know, right? It'll sort of die off over time, which means your effectiveness will decrease. You'll be spending more to get less back, right? And to keep it fresh and to find out what the next new effective type of ad will be, you need to constantly A/B test them. How would you write retargeting ads that convert? Like I mentioned, the important things to talk about this are be very specific. If they've been to a low back pain, you can target those people only and then call out their pain points. Are you still dealing with lower back pain? That's a great ad. Well, that's going to get people's attention. If you line up the image or the visual asset, the headline, the description, and the call to action in line with that, you're going to get a lot of attention. Right? You can reinforce credibility. All right? You can say something like, "Hear from our happy patients." This is where you can put Google reviews there if you really want, like screenshots of as a carousel ad as to what people say. All right? And then you got to work with a strong CTA, or call to action. You can mention book now or claim your offer. So what about the budgets? What kind of budgets would you allocate for ads like this? When you do retargeting ads, it's relatively cost effective. It's very cost effective compared to targeting just new ads, new traffic, right? Because you are really going after the traffic that is interested in your service, and they're cheaper to retarget. And you can start off by, targeting around $3 to $5 a day, right? Per day. And then you can spend around $100 to $150 per month per campaign. That's where you can start off, right? And if you do this correctly, if you set up the ads correctly, if you can set up the custom audiences and then set up the targeting of those ads and you create the assets, you should expect, done correctly, every dollar you spend should bring back those figures that we talked about. Some 5.5x, 7x, 9x. You really should have those sort of figures. So once you've done that, how would you track and scale your retargeting campaigns? What do you do there? So firstly, how to measure your retargeting, how it's effective is, like I mentioned, your ROAS, or your return on ad spend, should be minimum 3. So every dollar you put in, you should get at least $3 back. Anything below that, obviously you want it to be, for it to be at parity, not to lose any money, you should be at least 1, right? Every dollar you put in, you should get $1 back. That means you're breaking even, right? But what you want is obviously a bit more than that, right? So that's the biggest thing where you start off with. And when it comes to measuring your click-through rate, right? How many people click on the ad compared to the people that it was shown to. For example, if the ad was shown to 100 people and only 2 people clicked on the ad, your click-through rate is 2 out of 100, or 2%, right? What you want to aim for at a minimum standard is 1.5% click-through rate. Anything below that, your ad is just not good enough. 1 or more of those components, the visual asset, the headline, the subheadline, the primary text, and the call to action, at least one of those is not doing well or is not set up for the right audience. Right? Have a look at the CTR, all right, 1.5% or more, and you want your return on ad spend or ROAS to be 3 or more. That's what you want. This is how you know when you should scale. You're getting ROAS at around 3. When you're getting ROAS of 3 and above, you're ready to put more money into the ad. All right. Before that, no. And just as a guideline, you can set the retargeting frequency. In other words, how many times do you show the same ad to the same person? Now, you can set the limit for this. You can set it to 3 is what, you can start off with, right? Because anything more than that, you might be overloading people and annoying them. But this can vary because remember, you need to have touch points. You need to have many, many, many touch points. Experiment with your area. Try setting it to 3 and see how you go. If not, just take that up more and more and more because you want to have lots of touch points as well. The more and more people see your ads, the more they become familiar, the more warmer they get. Therefore, the more chance they'll come and book. Okay? That's the biggest thing. All right. So remember, why is retargeting important? Because 97% of people don't book on their first visit. All right, so you want to keep your message in front of them for enough touch points so that they become warmer and warmer and they call your practice or book online. Remember, very, very simple. Start off with getting a meta pixel in your website, then create those custom audiences and the lookalike audiences and create the engaging ads. So there's 4 things: the visual asset, the headline, the subheadline, primary text, and the call to action. All right. Actually, I forgot to mention, you can do this using Canva, the visual assets using Canva and a tool called Adobe Express. Canva and Adobe Express are really great tools to use. Okay. And start the budget small. Remember, $5 per month per campaign. Start there. Get ROAS to 3 minimum. All right. And click-through rate to minimum 1.5. At that point, you can start putting more money into it. And obviously, don't forget to A/B test your ads as well once a month on one of the things in the ad. Right? In terms of priority, remember, number 1 is the visual asset. Number 2 is the headline. Number 3 is the primary text, which is the big explanation for the ad. And number 4 is call to action. All right. So I hope that was useful. If that was useful, there's so many more podcast episodes like this on our website, along with lots of things to download to take your physio practice up to that next level. Visit on our website, which is physiomarketing.co. But if you're like most physio practice owners, you probably want some help from an expert in growing physio practices and taking it to the next level. If that is you, I want to encourage you to go to our website, physiomarketing.co, and book a call with us. And then we can see what we can do for you there. Other than that, thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.